To see you. How are you?
Yeah, no, really good. Feeling good, and obviously looking forward to a very big game on Sunday.
Let's take you back first of all before the break to the Burnley game. It felt like such a release in that moment when you got the third goal. Why did it feel so significant?
A lot of things really. I think we obviously know how important the 3 points were. And I think during the game, especially the first half, we were so on top. We had so many chances, and we couldn't quite, be clinical enough. And I think that's probably why it looked like a big sort of release at the end, because we put ourselves in these situations at times. Obviously from front, but also defensively. I think the goals could have been easily dealt with in that game, and we just make the games harder for ourselves. And it's been like that for a while, but I think that's why it was a big release, because obviously we knew how important that game was, especially with the way we started. With only being on 1 point at that time, it was massive just to get the 3 points.
Yeah, and it shifts the narrative, doesn't it? And I think that's always really important, how quickly narratives can shift in football. And it was interesting, Lenny Euro did an interview with Sky a couple of weeks ago, and he said what happens outside and the narratives outside don't matter in when you're at this training ground. How easy is that to actually stick to and apply as a team?
Well, I mean, it's as easy as we can make it, really. I think you can just completely ignore whatever's going on side. You don't need to read into anything. You don't need to watch anything. With people's opinions, I think that's how easy we can make it. But of course, people nowadays, social media is so big. A lot of people, read and watch a lot of things to do with sport. That's just the generation we're in. But I think we do try, especially here, to keep a lot of things in house and focus mainly on what we're doing here, day in, day out, to build a real strong environment, and like we spoke about, ignore everything outside and just focus on what we can do here.
Internally then, how do you guys view and talk about the start of the season?
A mixture, really. I think Fulham second half wasn't good enough. It wasn't us. And of course, Grimsby was nowhere near good enough. But I feel in the games, especially the Arsenal game, we was really good. I spoke about, not finishing our chances. That was the case in that game. And I think, us as a team, I think we've made mistakes as well for goals, and that does punish us at times. But I think, like I said, we know we can be in a better place, but I think the real test is going to be coming now after this international break. We've got some really, tough games, and I think it will show us where we're at. But like I said, we're all very confident and, really enjoying, the way we're playing at the moment under the manager. So, hopefully we can continue that.
Yeah, and you said they were all really confident, and you've always been a player that's been very honest with the media. And I liked some of your comments over summer when you were saying sometimes it has been negative during your times here, but everyone has to put the team first now, and there has been a shift. Your manager was very big on wanting that pre-season with the team. So what was that shift in terms of that mentality you're talking about? Yeah,
I think us as players, and of course the manager, we have to be honest. I think we owe it to our fans. The shift has been massive. I think, obviously, especially how last season ended. I don't think it could have been any worse, to be honest. But obviously, the manager made a big deal of it when we come into pre-season this season. He was very energetic, happy. I think that's really important for the manager to set the tone of how he wants the group to be, and we've just sort of gone along with it. And I think the new additions we've added as well has brought a lot of energy and a lot of jokes into the team, so that always helps. So and I honestly meant it when I said it in the summer. I think this is the happiest and the most smiles I've seen for a long while. And of course, that's down to the manager. Like I said, the way he puts things out to be. And yeah, I think obviously we are really enjoying everyone's company at the moment inside the training ground.
You said recently one of the best squads you've been involved in. Do you think it comes down to that happiness and that vibe around the place? So on and off the field, one of the best squads.
Yeah, I think it's a big part, because I think if you're happy at your job and you're smiling and you're loving what you're doing, I think that's always going to bring the best out of you and the others around you. And I think that brings confidence, and I think confidence is a massive thing, especially in the games nowadays. If you're not confident when you step out on the pitch, then you'll struggle. But I feel like there's a real confidence. You can see it in the training. The levels of training have definitely gone up. So, it's about keeping consistent and maintaining them levels. And, I think we're in a good place.
Cunha looks like he's bringing you good energy as well.
Nah, he really does. I love him. He's such a good guy, really happy, always joking about. And he slotted in really perfectly, honestly. But not just him, of course, the others as well. And obviously that's big credit to the manager and his staff around him. He's not only brought in, amazing players, he's also brought in, good lads that, all have the same mindset of wanting to win.
Do you see similarities between yourself and your manager in terms of your outlook? Because he's described himself as quite an emotional person. You see that from yourself as well at times.
Yeah, I mean, I think little bits. Of course, we all have our own, character and personality. But of course, we all look up to the manager. I think he's been really good. He really helps me, pushes me, day in, day out. And I think it's the same for everyone. He and like you said, he's extremely honest. I think you can imagine what he's like in here, because the things he says in the press, he's open, and he says it how it is, and we see that. And I think us as players, we need that.
So you get that day in, day out, that emotion from him.
Of course, the emotion, the
Mm-hmm.
honesty, the demands of what he wants, not just inside the pitch, but off the pitch. He's really big on that, on people living the right way as a footballer should do. And he's been really good for me. And hopefully, like I said, we can continue that good relationship and win big things here together.
11 years now at Manchester United. What keeps you here?
I think, of course, the history of the club, how big the club is. There's no bigger club. Of course, the fans, the atmosphere. I think, of course, the pressure as well. I think I really enjoy pressure. And I think there's no other club like it if you want to have that. And I think for me, my motivation's still extremely high. I feel like I've still got a lot of things to achieve here. And I think right now with this manager and the squad that we're now blending in, I think we can achieve big things.
Slightly different role for you in the early stages of this season, playing on that left-hand side, centre back. What do you view yourself as at the moment? How are you finding it?
I think it's a tough question, because for me, no matter what, I think you just want to be playing. So wherever the manager puts me, I'm happy to play. But of course, at the moment, I'm playing left centre back, and I am really happy with that. But of course, for myself, I think I do still see myself as more of a left wing back, left back sort of role. So I think the manager does know that, but I think at the end of the day, it's up to the manager on the teams he selects. And of course, no matter where the manager wants to put me, I'm happy to just be on the pitch and giving everything I can.
In that left centre-back role, do you still feel like you can have a big impact in the build-up play, particularly when you think about players like Sesko coming in, the aerial dominance that he'll have? How do you see your role in that build-up play now?
Yeah, of course. I think it's still an important role. I think we start the build-up, so it's important we're good on the ball and are able to play out, especially nowadays in football. There's a lot of high pressure, so you need to be able to deal with the ball comfortably and play out from the back. But of course, it's not as much as I'm used to in that role, and I think I of course do miss it. But like I said, my role now is in the left of a three, and I'm still learning and adapting on that position. But like I said, I'm enjoying it.
Well, big test up next. You touched on it in the very first thing you said, the Manchester derby. It would be your 16th. You faced them more than any other opponent during your time here. Do these weeks feel different?
To be fair, this week, not really, because obviously I think everyone's been away. So no, we're actually all back today for the first time.
So now it will start.
I think now it will, but obviously the week's been a bit different to what it usually would look like. But of course, the game's massive. It's a game at the start of the season that you look out for and to see when you're playing them. It's one to get excited for. I think we have a good record away at Etihad. So like I said, touching on it before about the confidence, we're confident and we will be going there to of course win the game.
Potentially a new goalkeeper as well to work with in Le Mans. What have you made of him since his arrival? How's he been settling in?
Yeah, no, really good. I think us as players, it's really important to help settle in new players. He's been really good. He's trained, a couple of the days, looks really sharp. I've been really impressed with him. So, that's good. It's always good, like I said, to have new additions, and I'm really looking forward to playing with him also.
Is it useful when you are a defender to have a consistent goalkeeper relationship behind you? Is that something you're looking to build on this season?
Yeah, of course. I think it's always important to have relationships on the pitch. Not just with the keeper, but for the ones in front of us as well. I think you have to form and build important relationships, and I wouldn't just pick out the goalkeeper. Of course, it's important, but I think it's important to sort of have relationships, with everyone on the pitch.
Finally, sort of a two-part question, but if we sat here at the end of the season, what kind of position and place would you like Man United to be at, not just in terms of the table and league position, but as a club overall? Right
now, for as we sit here, I think our aims have to be, win the next game. That's all that we can focus on, and I think that's important to start right again this weekend after international break, and not look too far ahead and just go game by game, and always have the mentality of winning every game. And culturally, just keep improving and making it a positive place, like you touched on. Yeah, of course. I think the culture of the environment is one of the most important things here, especially with all the noise outside, like we touched on earlier. I think it's so important to keep everyone together, to really make a family feeling here, and like I said, right now we really do feel like a family, and it feels good. And then on a personal level, we all know there's a World Cup coming up next summer. What are your aims? Where would you like to be? Honestly, that's not even in my mind at the moment. Really? No, I think for me the most important thing, I said at the start of the season, was being available for Man United, having the manager to be able to select me for all the games. Obviously, because last season was one of the worst. So I think my main priority is keeping fit this season and doing everything I can to help Man United, and I think then whatever comes with that, whether it's England or not, then that will happen. But right now my full focus is just on Man United. And fans have been very happy to see you in such a good place. Yeah. No, I think of course my career has been a lot of up and downs here. So like I said, I still feel like I've got extremely high motivation and things I want to achieve here that I haven't done yet. So full focus is on that, and hopefully that can happen.
Hopefully lots of ups for you this season. Good luck for Sunday, and